Kris, Greensabreuk, episode 4, video 4. Now, I promised this one, going back on my promises once again, I promised this time that we were going to do a continuation. The bands we forgot influenced us this time round, because there's about 10 bands that we forgot to mention in the last list. Anyway, it's not going to be that video today. I have been at the Damnation festival this weekend in Manchester. So I'm going to do a quick Damnation review. I say quick. None of my videos are particularly fucking quick. But anyway, so Telly episode 4 will be my review of the Damnation festival and the bands that I saw at it anyway. So without further ado, yeah, it was great. It's the first time at the Bowlers Exhibition Centre, is it, in Manchester near Salford Quays there. So I was gutted that it moved from Leeds, because I work at the university in Leeds, so I got free parking. I could fuck off to my office when I needed a little sit down and a chill out for a bit. It was brilliant. But alas, no more. It's moved to Manchester, and besides my needs for an office space and so on and so forth and parking, it's a vastly superior venue. Is the Bowlers. It wasn't without a few teething issues that I'll get to shortly. But yeah, a great setup. It was just a Saturday I went to. I didn't go to the Night of Salvation, is it, the Friday night one? So just the Saturday, and it was great. I had a whale of a time. I had to remain sober because I was driving. I parked fucking miles away as well, so it was a long old hike back and forth. But anyway, got my steps in. But yeah, it was terrific. So what did I do when I got there? Got there early on, 11. Queued around the block to get in. Got in there, and I think the first band I saw was Iris. I've not heard them before, and yeah, they're all right. Kind of sort of Meshuggah-y vibe in places. Slightly more melody, that kind of stuff. But yeah, decent, good start, and really heavy, good sound. They were on the main stage, and I was right near the front at that point. And sound issues aside, with some of the bands on the main stage, I from my experience, it sounded way better the nearer you were to the stage, the further back you were. Yeah, it was a bit hit and miss, should we say. And the two other stages were terrific sound. But yeah, that was one of the other downsides with the Leeds one, was that invariably you wouldn't be able to get in to some of the venues. They'd fill up and that were it. So like last year's Damnation, the last one at Leeds, I couldn't get into Winterfilleth. I couldn't get into June. There was another one that I couldn't get into that escapes me. But yeah, 3 and that were on my to-do list that I couldn't get into. This year, none of that. Comfortably in every one of the venues. So it was great. I went on my Todd, so I rattled around on my own for large chunks of it. There was a couple of people. Lee Baines, sorry I didn't meet up, mate, but we will get together at some point. It's one of them where we just kept missing each other at various stages. And as it got dark, it's near impossible to try and sort of find people in a scrum of about 6,000 people or whatever it was that were there. So, sorry, Lee. There was Wendy on Instagram. Sorry I didn't meet up with you. There was another Instagrammer that I was going to meet there and didn't meet up with them. My mate Richie Rich, that I saw in the distance at one point whilst I was talking to someone else. By the time I've made my way over there, he'd gone. So, sorry, Richie. But I hung out with Bloodyard for a large chunk of the night. My metal friends from Lancaster, the band Bloodyard, check them out if you haven't already, I'm sure you have. So that was good. Hung out with them for a few hours here and there. Who else was there? Oh, Scott from Crash Records. Good to see you, Scott. Yeah, so it was good. I kept myself entertained for most of it. And a really good day was had. So I'll go through the itinerary. It was a decent setup. Plenty of toilets. I didn't have to queue once for a piss. Which is always a boon. Merch tent was good. One of the slight downsides was that I'm sure they'd made a bit of a thing that it was going to be like card for almost everything. Apart from the fucking, almost all of the merch vendors turned up wanting cash only. I was queuing for the Bellwitch stall. With the guy that came with Bellwitch, he came sort of later on. I have never seen anyone set up so fucking slowly in my life, with the sort of bigger and bigger queue sort of building up behind him. If it had been me, I'd have noticed that queue building up, and I just sort of said, look, I'm going to be 10 minutes or so just hang on. Oh, and by the way, I'm cash only. No, he watched the queue build up. It was like, I'm sure there was about 8 minutes to go before Bellwitch and Stygian Bow were actually playing. And I thought, I'm going to have to actually go and watch the band at this point. Anyway, the guy at the front of it, when he finally decided to fucking set up, can I have one of them? Yeah, mate, 20 quid. Do you take card? No, cash only. There was like an audible, for fuck's sake, from like the whole queue. So anyway, that was a bit of a write-off. So, yeah, I mean, I understand it. You know, touring bands and stuff like that, they don't always have card readers with them. But sort of, hey, we need to get with the future, guys. But anyway, the first band I watched, Iris, really good. The second one I watched was Stygian Bow. Now, that was one of them that I was looking forward to because they cancelled from the year before. And yeah, so I was one of the reasons that I got the ticket this time round. 40-minute set approximately. 2 songs. Fantastic. Really, really good. I was well impressed with that. Just grindingly slow. Fantastic. Yeah, they were one of the bands of the day for me. Stygian Bow. It was really, really good. And that was in one of the side stages. Yeah, well worth it. The next band I caught, and this is me having a moan again as well, was another one of the main reasons that I bought the ticket, was Australia's We Lost the Sea. I was really excited to see them because I love all that shoegazy kind of post-rock kind of, yeah, whatever it is that they do. Yeah, really looking forward to them. And my favourite album of theirs is this one here that I will dig out. I've thought I'd put these in order, but they're all over the fucking place. Departure Songs. Love this record. Great. And was really looking forward to seeing maybe 1, maybe 2 songs off of this, something like that. About 2 months before, when they announced the Night of Salvation, that I couldn't go to, I didn't have a ticket for anyway, but I couldn't get over on the Friday night as it was anyway. They announced that they were playing this album in its fucking entirety on the Friday night. And hooray, it will be a totally different set on the Saturday. So I didn't get any of that fucking record, which I was a bit miffed about. But ignore all that. They played quite a few off of Triumph and Disaster, and they were stunning. They were really, really good. So I'm glad I got to see them. I didn't get any Departure Songs, but I was really glad that I went and watched them because it was well worth it. They were another one of the top bands on the night for me. I'm trying to remember the kind of lineup now. I kind of dotted back and forth because the phone reception was shite inside the building. Once you got out into where the food vendors were and the toilets and the merch stuff and all that, it was fine. So I kept sort of diving out in between to get a little bit of respite and try and get some phone reception and see how Leeds were getting on, amongst various other things. Which was good. That's where I bumped into a few people and so on and so forth and got something to eat. I'm glad that I ate early on. I think it was about, whenever it was, 2 o'clock or something like that. I was fucking starving by the end of it. But I'm glad that I ate early on because there was relatively no queues at that point. Once you got to sort of 4 or 5 o'clock onwards, there were just queues snaking around the place. I think I'd seen on some of the forums that some people had waited nearly an hour for a pizza or something. I mean, it's crazy. But again, just a few teething. I mean, some people have sort of said they needed more food stalls. I don't really know where they'd put them, to be honest with you. Because they utilised all the space that was outside. Maybe sort of down the side where there was a relatively long walk in once you got your band on and stuff. But anyway. Who was the next band? Yeah, so that was, I'd seen Iris, I'd seen Stygian Bow, I'd seen We Lost the Sea. Caught up with Bloodyard for a bit then. And then, who was it after that? I think it might have been Godflesh, actually. Or was it? I can't remember the timeline of the day. I caught a bit of, some of the bands that I caught bits of, but not all the set, were Frail. I caught the last 2 songs of their set early on. That were decent. I caught a chunk of the Pig Destroyer set. I'm not, they're all right, but they're not a band that I was there wanting to go and see Pig Destroyer, but they were really good. Incantation I wanted to see, but I missed because I'm sure I was watching someone else who was a Clash on at the time. So I missed them. But the next band, it was either I think it was Godflesh was the next band that I went to see. And again, I was chuffed. I was sort of looking forward to seeing Ministry when they'd originally announced it. And then they pulled out really late on, which I was a bit kind of miffed about. But when they announced that Godflesh were playing this in its entirety as the substitute, yeah, forget Ministry. Thanks, Al. Yeah, I was absolutely chuffed. This is one of my favourite albums of all time. And they were playing this in its entirety, and it was great. It was blighted by a couple of sound issues right early on. So, I mean, like Rats to opening up, one of the greatest album openers of all time. Just lacked that bit of punch because they were having just a bit of technicalities, but they soon sorted it out and it was great. And they rattled through all of them, like Rats, Christ Bait Rising, Pulp's one of them that I liked on the album, obviously, but it was never one of my favourites. When you see it live, it really works. Live does Pulp, yeah. Head Dirt, Dream Long Dead, and of course the title track, Street Cleaner. It was fucking brilliant. So I was really happy that I saw them. I'm really happy that they came and replaced Ministry. So cheers for that, Justin and Godflesh. I then had to dart over. They just about finished Locust Furnace, and I had to dart through to the ISO stage to go and watch another band that was one of the main reasons why I bought the ticket, and another band that had cancelled from last year, which reminds me, Godflesh were brilliant, and it was great to see him do this album, but I actually thought they were slightly better at last year's Damnation in Leeds. A different set, obviously, but they were just heavier. When they played Like Rats last year at Damnation, it rattled the whole fucking refectory at the uni. It was just blindingly heavy. It was ace. Whereas this year, sound issues aside, brilliant, but not quite as good as last year. So yeah, I then had to dart across to watch one of the other main reasons why I bought the ticket, who cancelled from the year before, Paul Bearer. And I'll dig this one out as well, because they played one track off of that. They were brilliant. If I had to pick a band of the night, it would have been these lot, actually. It was so heavy, with great melody, vocals on top, really good mix of sound as well. And for me, the ISO stage had the best sound on the night for the bands that I saw in there. But Paul Bearer were fantastic, really, really good. Really enjoyed that set. I bumped into a guy during that set who gave me a message to give to Rossi, the bass player, and I've forgotten what the message was. I'm sure it said something like, "Tell Rossi that grown men shouldn't," and I can't remember what the rest of it was. So sorry. So if you are watching this, put it down in comments, or well, it depends if you can put it in the comments. But yeah, you'll have to remind me what that message was. So sorry, nice to meet you, but I forgot what your message was by the time I'd left and got home. It was just after that I bumped into a guy that recognised me from Greensabreuk, which made my night, so thank you. It was, I don't know whether he recognised me off that. Anyway, he said that he downloaded a copy off a Bandcamp at demo a while back. That's when we were playing Manchester. Soon. I can't wait to play Manchester. I really want to play Manchester. I'm struggling to get a gig sorted out, so anyone watching this that can help get me a gig sorted out in Manchester, I'm thinking Breadshed or Rebellion or what are the others, Star and Garter. We'll build up to the Academy. Well, that can wait for a bit. But yeah, so I said, yeah, I would love to play Manchester. As soon as we get something sorted, then yeah, keep your eyes peeled, because yeah. So yeah, that was really nice. So hello again. It was nice to meet you. And yeah, Paul Bearer, fantastic. Now, what after that? I think it was At the Gates, which was really, really good. Because I've watched all of Paul Bearer, I left it late to get into the main stage, so I didn't get an ideal position. I was quite far back in the main hall. And as I've alluded to earlier, the further back you were, the ropier the sound got in there. It still sounded all right, and it was great seeing him playing the Slaughter of the Soul. album in its entirety. And yeah, that was terrific, and that was a good end to the night for me, because one of the other issues, which I'm sure they'll sort out, was the lack of seating in there. I am an old man now. I'm 47. I can't do these all days anymore. My back is a mess. My feet were just a wreck from standing up all that time. I did sort of prop myself against a wall earlier in the day and wasn't sure I was getting up again at one point. I had to do this really kind of unsightly roll in order to sort of get myself up and moving again. But by the time Out the Gates finished, I was absolutely shot at. So I fucked off pretty much as soon as they'd finished set. I was out and gone. Try and get my legs to walk all the way back to... I parked over at fucking Media City near BBC building, so like the 40-minute walk back over there, which was good. It eased it all out as such, but needless to say, I suffered the day after the Sunday. But yeah, I think I've covered most of them. Other bands that I caught most of the set, I watched Green Lung. They were terrific, really slick set. Yeah, they were really good. And I think that was it. I can't really... Again, there'll be someone that I've forgotten. But it was a terrific day. Yeah, I'd have liked to have gone to the Friday night to watch We Lost the Sea play Departure Songs, but it wasn't to be. I know we've forgotten the main one, and that's why I saved them to last. I knew there was a reason for my order for the records. My Dying Bride. It was great seeing them. As I said to a few friends before, the last time I've seen My Dying Bride live was November 1993. It was on the Turn Loose the Swans tour. It was at the Bradford Rios, and they were great that night, and they were great the other night as well. It was good seeing them again. They did a really good sort of mixed set. I don't think they played anything off of Ghost of Orion, the latest one. They opened with one off of Feel the Misery. Was it Like God to the Sun? And then when they went into The Cry of Mankind, yeah, that was ace. They played a couple off of Turn Loose the Swans and ended on my favourite My Dying Bride track of all time, if I had to pick one, the title track off of that album, Turn Loose the Swans. It was a terrific set, really good, and I really enjoyed it. They were on the main stage, and again, a few sound issues, but it didn't detract from what was a stunning set. So yeah, My Dying Bride. I will count down probably the top 5 bands on the day. Coming in at number 5, Godflesh. Brilliant seeing them play the Street Cleaner album in its entirety. Fucking fantastic. At number 4, probably... it's difficult. Let me go through them. We've got My Dying Bride. We've got... My Dying Bride, probably coming in at number 4. Yeah. One of the... Again, I think they... Were they a substitution? Remind me if they were a substitution. I think they were... Anyway, I was absolutely fucking thrilled. Yeah, they must have been, because I'm sure I'd already bought my ticket, and then they were announced after it, which was just like, hurrah. So it was so great having them on. So, yeah, they coming in at number 4. And I only put that down to them, and Godflesh probably would be higher up if it wasn't for just the few little sound issues that they had during their sets, which was no fault of the bands, of course. They played blindingly like they always do. Coming in at number 3. It's really tight between We Lost the Sea and Stygian Bow, but I will put We Lost the Sea at number 3 because I didn't get to hear anything off of Departure Songs. And again, that wasn't their fault, although they could have at least put A Gallant Gentleman in for me on the Saturday night. But yeah, so it was very close, but you've got number 3 for that. I don't know whose fault that is. Probably Gav that does Damnation. Anyway, because I didn't get to see it. Number 3. Number 2, Stygian Bow. Heavy as fuck. Really, I felt like I'd almost got into like a trance-like state, just with that slow, really slow nod. And a doffed of the cap to do a 40-minute set, which consisted of 2 songs. That's how it's done. Proper doom. And number 1, as I said before, Paul Bearer. They were fantastic. And yeah, my band of the night. I don't know whether that was because I was really looking forward to seeing them from having cancelled the year before. But yeah, they were just really slick. They didn't put a foot wrong. It was a really well-chosen set list as well. And yeah, without fault. Set of the night for me, that. Yeah. So yeah, come 10 o'clock. I didn't hang around for Converge because they're not... this is probably sacrilege, but they'd never really been on my radar. The Jane Doe album was not life-affirming for me. There were other life-affirming albums that I have. I'm an old man, so yeah, probably not my generation, that one. I don't mind what they play. They're kind of like a... they remind me of like Dillinger Escape Plan, but not turned up to 10, if you will. I loved Dillinger Escape Plan. Fantastic band. But Converge just sort of... I don't know if... I think it might be them kind of like screamcore sort of vocals that I've always had trouble with. It's all a bit breathy, scream. But they're really good, don't get me wrong. But no, I wasn't about to... I was close to physical and mental shutdown at that point. I thought, I'm not waiting another hour to then... so I figured I'd fuck off. So off I went at 10. Made the journey back. And spent the majority of Sunday trying to recover before we had a band rehearsal on Sunday night. So I had to ping over from Leeds to Preston and back again the day after. Which was great. It was a really good rehearsal last night. And we're getting ship-shape for our next upcoming gig, which is Friday the 9th of December at the Bobbin in Lancaster as support to Thanes and Thralls, which is Kev Ridley, singer of Skyclad. It's his side band. And my good mate, Arian, bassman, is bassist in that. So, yeah, looking forward to meeting up with Arian again and playing that gig. Yeah, it feels like it's an age since we've gigged. And it's not through lack of trying. I want to play proper venues. That's not just me being stuck up about it. I could get any old ropey fucking working men's club. I don't want to play them. I want to play proper venues. I've been doing this shit for 30 years. You know, I feel like I've earned my way onto proper venues by now. But miniature rant over. Yeah, I had a great time at Damnation. Wait to see who's on next year. I'm already fairly confident that I'll be going next year. So, yeah, I'll hopefully meet up with a few more of you then. But until then, I think that's it. Let's wrap this up. 23 minutes, that's quite short for me. So, the next video will be the bands that we forgot influenced Greensabre. But until that moment, I will say ta-ta. See you guys.